Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Latched podcast. Melissa here. It's a rainy day in Richmond, Virginia. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, the Latched podcast is for you all who are in the trenches of parenthood, especially motherhood. We talk about all of the fun stuff having to do with raising little ones. Today, we are talking about traveling with kids, the good, the bad, the ugly, the planning, the not so planned, all that jazz. So stay tuned. You're listening to Latched Mama Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Wirt, busy mom of 6 and owner of LatchedMama.com. Join us each week as we talk about pregnancy, breastfeeding, postpartum, and all things motherhood. Hi, friend.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm good.
Lindy's here with us today. For those of you who don't know, we have 12 kids combined from 6 months up to, how old, Lennox?
He's almost 14.
14. So I feel like we've seen a lot of it when it comes to traveling with kiddos. We have your questions today. We're going to do our best to answer them, share some stories, all that stuff. Kennedy, hit us up.
Hey, Melissa and Lindy, this is Kelly. I was wondering how you travel with a bigger family. We have 2 boys that are preteen aged and then 2 younger littles that are preschool and smaller. And it is complicated. And so any tips or tricks that could be used when traveling more than, an hour away from home would be helpful. Thank y'all. Y'all are amazing.
Oh, thanks. You're amazing. Thanks for calling in. Yeah.
I'm picturing all the directions that this goes in.
I know.
Like I could talk from so many different, like what vehicle and what luggage and
Absolutely.
So I don't know where you want to start.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's so funny because I think about traveling. Okay. And this is what happens with my brain. Hey, sweetie, let's go somewhere. Let's pack up the kids. Let's go. Really? Okay. Well, do you just want to go without me? No, I don't want to go without you. I want to go with you. Well, okay. And then it sounds like a great idea, okay? So I pack up the kids, I get really excited, and then we get in the car and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this was a terrible idea." And it's pretty much terrible the entire time. Sometimes there's good moments. We've been introducing them to old school music, which is always fun to do. But then we get home and I'm like, I'm never doing that again. And then something happens in my brain. Like a few days later, I start looking at pictures and I'm like, oh, look how great that was.
It's like having kids.
Yeah. And then the whole cycle starts again. And I'm like, oh, let's go somewhere.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Here's what pops into my mind when I'm traveling.
Okay.
Is how long am I going for? Is there a washer dryer?
Yes.
This is where my brain starts because it's going to determine what that trunk looks like and the bags look like and all of that. So that's kind of where, at least for a family of 8, where I start planning, where are we going? I would rather not stay in a hotel because that automatically means 2 rooms. So there are things that we kind of look for, where we're going, how long, that kind of thing. Because I could go for a week-long beach trip that has a washer dryer, and it takes me a third of the time to pack versus going to a cabin for a weekend. Mm-hmm. I'm packing a significant amount more of things. So I think it just depends where you're going, how long, all those.
But her question, the actual traveling aspect of it, maybe in the car and stuff. I feel like if you're already living together and you already have the 4 kids that are cohabitating together, that just stressing to the older ones, hey, let's have patience with the potty breaks, or can you help pass that snack back, or pick your head up from the switch for a second, please, so you can help your sibling. Some of my cooler, big family parenting moments have been in smaller spaces. When I say cooler, I mean they're very fleeting. They're 10 to 15 seconds long. But it's like one kid moving, because we have a transit with a higher roof. So the kids could potentially change seats, the older ones, if they're in. My oldest one is just in a lap belt now. But he can get up and he can kind of help a little bit. So. Not that I say you should move in a moving vehicle ever, but, sometimes there are emergencies on the road when you're traveling with 6 children. But he can go read a book to a younger one, or he can go help somebody. And it's the sweetest thing in the world, because he doesn't really have an option, because he can't really get out of the car. He can't really say no. you know, I don't know. It's like forced family bonding. I don't know. My biggest thing is just all of the snacks, unless you have one that gets car sick, which I have one of those, and that's terrible, terrible, terrible. All of the snacks, electronics, unless you have one that gets car sick. It's just
Yeah, it's just, I mean, mine have our own rows. Like they are separated. The 2 older ones are in the back. The middle girls are in the middle. And my little ones that need a little bit more help handing or whatnot, even though they're getting older, are up at the front. You know, they each have their own individual kind of snack bags. Like it's literally just kind of planned out to be at the beginning. They can each bring a small backpack that has their activities and stuff in it. And then you just like hope for the best.
And if you're at that like 4 to 5 kid to 5 to 6, 4 to 5 to 6 type of kid thing, and you do travel a lot, and a minivan is starting to feel small, don't be afraid to go up to the Amazon trucks. Like Lindi and I
where
have.
we're at.
But
trunk
literally,
space is huge.
Lindi has a trunk. I don't have a trunk in mine, but we could take out the back row if we need to. But it's bulky, but it's super easy to drive. It's almost just like driving a minivan. And honestly, it is amazing to give the kids more space.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Absolutely.
Next question. I don't even know if we answered her question, but
It was a good one.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
yeah, a lot could go into that.
My suggestion for the podcast would be to talk about the timing of when you depart, because that is crucial. You know, you're working around nap times, meal times, all of that. So I would suggest talking about the appropriate time to depart.
I'm like crying laughing here because for some reason I get such a great question. But honestly, have you ever gotten on the road when you're supposed to get on the road? Maybe you have. No, never.
No.
Never.
My husband started cutting
never.
down a tree.
Yes,
15
that was
minutes
the best
before
story.
we were trying to leave. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, No,
He's like, well, the neighbor can help now. And I was like,
we're supposed to be on the road.
I can't.
Eric has cleaned the gutters, gone to Walmart to like rewire the refrigerator or something crazy like that. This is all before we leave. If there's something that happens maybe in the male brain or the partner brain, I don't know, that is all of a sudden like everything has to be straight before we leave. Well, you know what? You had 2 weeks to think about it. You had plenty of time. Like I remember sitting in the car as a kid. And like we were in there, like there was a good 30 to 40 minutes. We were all in the car, and my dad was just going in to find his sunglasses, and then he'd go back in to get something else, and then he'd go back in to get something else. I'm not blaming it totally on the partners, but I have had to let go of the idea that we're gonna leave at any certain time. I will always like we are trying as a married couple now to talk about expectations prior to leaving, because this is one of those things that literally and
I wanted to throw this out real quick. I know we're talking about traveling, and I think sometimes the social pressure of, oh my gosh, they're doing this and they're doing this, and like I have to travel and I have to go do these things. There were some years where I really just had to come to the conclusion that, you know what, that is not something that I can tackle this year, and that's okay. And I can find great, fun local things that I don't have to tackle a 3-4 hour plus drive. I'm just not comfortable mentally dealing with it, doing it with my spouse. And like, that's 100% okay. But I think if you are looking for travel things, like here we are chatting about it, but just if someone's on the couch at home, because I was that mom because some years, it's totally okay. Don't do it. Just do the local things. It will come at a time that you will be able to do it a little bit more easier.
But as far as like nap time, lunchtime, things like that, I mean, I was texting Lindi this summer when we were headed to the beach. It literally took us an hour and 45 minutes to get on the road from our house. Like we pulled out of our house and suddenly we had like a Target pickup. Kids were hungry. We went to Chick-fil-A. We went to get gas where everybody had to pee, but we were only 2 miles.
That gas stop.
Yeah, we're only 2 miles away from the
an
house.
hour.
I'm like, I don't understand. What is happening? Literally it took us an hour and 45 minutes to even hit the highway.
Because everybody needs to all of a sudden go to the bathroom again. Oh, and then they want snacks and you fill up. So really, that is something on our list. And I'm like, gas is done like the night before. Like we don't do a gas stop. The other thing, I will either like, if it's lunch, it is a Jimmy John's order that is pickup and you're going to eat in the car. Or I'm like Lunchables. But like, we're not like, I try to make those things a little bit easier.
And then, but the good news is that we probably shouldn't do this, but we push through. We we may or may not lie about if we're passing a rest stop. We may just be like, we're almost there. We're almost there. We can do it. We can do it. And we have done with 5 kids, because we still had 2 in diapers. 2. I don't even know. Our last trip, only 1 maybe. I don't know. We'll do the pee in a Gatorade bottle for the boys. We stop if Caroline needs to go to the bathroom. Catherine is still in diapers, but we push on through. We really, really try not to stop, because once you stop and you have to get everybody out of the car, it's a nightmare. Yeah. So yes, we try and time it on baby's nap time. If the baby is like under 1 and is just going to nap no matter what, like when they're in their car seat, then we just kind of shoot for a time. And then we just pack lots of snacks, and we realize we let go of schedule as much as we can on travel day. You just let go, let it go. Let it go. They're going to sleep when they want to sleep. Maybe they won't nap at all. Maybe they'll nap the entire time. You have no idea what's going to happen, because apparently when you start traveling with kids, everything goes awry.
Now, we've never tried this, but I know a couple people who rock the overnight drive.
Yeah, no.
I don't know how to do it, and I could never get to be like, hey, let's try this. Number one, we never drove that far ever. It was normally like a 2 to 4 hour type of drive. But I know some who would do that. That's what worked for them and their kids did really well in the car, and they would sleep and they didn't stop, and they were comfortable driving at night and then parenting all day. Yeah. Which like my husband and I have had the conversation. We're like, we just can't do that. Like it's not going to be good. But so we've tried to time that mid-morning nap or kind of the lunchtime, but I know it's so hard when you miss it, and sometimes you do, and
you just have to roll with it. Kind of part of traveling is everybody being off of their schedule. Like it literally, if you have anxiety when you think about your kids being off of a schedule and not sleeping well, then probs traveling is not for you.
Do short little day trips, like an hour trip.
Absolutely.
Or
don't really get into something like you said just because somebody else is doing
100%.
it, because you are going to be thrown
100%
on your head. Literally everything is going to be off its axis, and then literally it's going to take pretty much a week to re-enter after that too. So if things are going swimmingly in your life and you're getting rest and your kids are napping, it's probably not a good time to travel.
Like we had to have those little conversations like, do we want to come home? Are we going to come home like mad at each other and very stressed? Or are we going to come home like, okay, that was tough, but we really enjoy it. Like, we really had to come to kind of make those decisions.
And I really do, like, we don't travel at night. Like, we drove through the night a couple of times before we had kids, but I really do enjoy, which is very weird. I found this like very happy place in parenthood. Like I said before, with all of my kids in one place on a sunny day driving down the road together, like, because for the most part they tend to get along, but I have all of my little people, like everybody is in my little bubble and they're all right here and they can't get away from me and they can't go to the basement and I have to be there and I can't go to work and nobody can pull Eric away and we're all together and it's like amazing. So I enjoy sunshiny drives down the highway until they all start fighting. But then even then it's fine because nobody can really get away from each other. But
Hi, Melissa and Lindy. My name is Amanda, and I'm a fellow mom of 6. And on the topic of travel, in the past few years, we've done a lot more road trip family vacations. So I just wanted to share a couple of things that have been beneficial for us, just in case it might help anybody else out, and get your input as well. So one simple thing that ended up being a big hit for us, I found some big variety packs of fidget toys on Amazon, and I put them in a big Ziploc bag. And the kids didn't get to see them or play with them until we were on the road. And then they got to pick one at a time to play with. And they were also super helpful to incentivize good behavior. So like, one child who's behaving the best, oh, you can pick another toy to play with. And so it was just a simple thing, but just very, very, very helpful and beneficial to distraction and entertainment during hours on the road.
So I love the idea of things that kids have never seen before.
Yeah.
And I try and hold on to those things as long as I can. Like if I'm at hour 2 or 3, so we don't go on a lot of trips, but we go, and we'll talk about it, I'm sure at maybe some point in this podcast, we go to our 800 square foot condo that my husband used to go to growing up, that he's very sentimental, and we go back to every year with all of our children. But it's about a 5.5 hour drive. But if I can get to hour 2 or 3 and they have not seen the special things that I have at my feet that are pretty much from like 5 and below or something, we're doing great.
Yeah.
we're doing fantastic and we're going to make it, you know, but if I'm pulling those out and we're still like, you know, 10 minutes down the road, it's going to be a rough one. But I completely agree with, stickers are great. Snacks for sure. All of the snacks.
I love they're at like the dollar spot, the magic marker. Like, so it's like that turns the
Yes.
colors on the paper. So I don't have to worry about them getting bored and then just like coloring the car seat or,
Yeah.
the seat or whatever. They just do those.
Window clings for like the 1.5 to 4-year-olds that they can like put on the window if they're next to the window. Water bottles. We do. Not everybody has a water bottle like spot next to their car seat. Yeah, I put, now that the boys are older, I'll put a snack bag back there with them. But yeah, all of the snacks. And then you just kind of have to let go. I mean, at least I let go of the mess. Like, I'll clean it up when we get there. Just everybody just stay happy. And I'm sorry you dropped your goldfish. Here's another bag that I'm going to toss back to you.
Yeah.
Somebody on Facebook I saw, I think it might be somebody who works here, I don't remember, created a pulley system. So they created a pulley system where they could like literally put snacks in it and then put it back to the back of the thing. We just throw them.
Cool. I've never actually done it. I've just had the things, but something like every hour in like a little mystery bag or something so they can't see it. So it's like you just got to get through like, 1 hour or even 30 minutes for little ones. And it's kind of just a little different activity.
Yeah.
Different fun thing that you get to open and it's new. And it can be very simple too.
But I loved her comment on planning ahead.
Yeah.
Like, if you can plan ahead, you are golden. And
For
it
all
doesn't
of it,
take that much. Like, you can do a Target pickup. You can do like, literally, it's just set aside like an hour to not think about clothes, not think about packing, not think about that. Think about the journey. It's almost like birth. Don't think about like what the nursery is going to look like or what your baby's going to wear on those weeks. Think about how your baby's going to come into the world. Think about how you're going to get to where you're going. And the more planning you can kind of put in that time frame, I feel like can be beneficial.
And I think most of the time you're not going somewhere like off the grid.
Yeah.
I always just remind myself
100%.
What are like the absolute I can't replace, like my daughter's anaphylactic kit, like some of these things that like I have to have. And you know what? If I'm short 3 outfits, we'll hit Walmart.
Absolutely.
Like we can find we're missing shoes. Fine. Like it's not the end of the world. So what are those like top priority things that you can't replace or would be very difficult to replace?
And what you were saying earlier about trying not to do a hotel, like we don't stay in hotels either, but if you can find someplace, almost everywhere in the country can do a Walmart order that can be waiting for you when you get there. So even if you don't want to mess with toothbrushes and toothpaste and how are you going to pack them and all of this stuff. I mean, I have diapers delivered. We have the first night's dinner. I normally will think through, make sure I have breakfast stuff. Coffee is key to make sure I have that next morning. So normally the Walmart order whenever we go anywhere is waiting for me when we get there, which is great.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Hi, I was calling because I would love all of the tips and tricks and ideas and anything else you have on sleeping when it comes to traveling. I feel like as soon as we sort of feel like we have sleeping under control at home, we go someplace else and then it's all messed up.
Yeah, it's what I just said. It's funny. Like, we're going away in the first week of June, and I keep telling everybody in my life who will listen that I really need to work on the baby being able to sleep.
Where are you going?
Outside of my arms. Oh, we're going to the Buckhead Ranch in South Carolina.
Oh, is this the family thing?
Yes, we were supposed to be going. We were supposed to be going to like an hour away to like Lake Gaston or something. But then this whole big thing happened and there was like all of this drama with VBRO. Anyway, so we had it's Eric's mom's side of the family, Eric's side of the family. I don't know. But we had this like all planned out and then the house ended up being a scam, so we had to find someplace else. So we're actually now driving like 5 hours, but it's like this big ranch thing, and there's like there's like its own go-kart track and like commercial kitchen, and it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be great. But I've been thinking about the fact that like I am going to be nap trapped, which is okay, but now that I'm a little bit older and I have older kids, it's I want to be experiencing things with them. I want to be, you know, out fishing with them or watching them go in go-karts. And I mean, he'll sleep on me, but I don't want to be nap trapped.
Right.
So sorry, long story short,
Sorry about that.
It's but seriously, like long story short, it is such a consideration because suddenly you're going to be putting your kids in a different spot. Like last year at the beach, we have our 800 square foot condo with 5 children, and I was like 36 weeks pregnant with number 6. And my parents rented one like 2 stories down, but there wasn't really a bed for Catherine, sweet Catherine, and she was 2.5 and she'd never slept outside of a crib. So I thought I could just put her in a pack and play. Yeah, no dice. Did not work. So she had to learn while we were on vacation how to sleep in a twin size bed. It took it was terrible. I mean, it took probably 6 nights out of our 12 nights that we were there to actually get her to sleep. So by night 7, I was actually able to go back to sleep, which is interesting because when you're used to sleeping and then you stop for 6 nights, it's not good. So absolutely take everything into consideration. I mean, I have so much advice on this. If you can get whatever they're currently sleeping in and you can replicate it wherever you're going, that is plan A.
Yep.
I have spent $100 on a exact same pack and play or exact same crib that my child sleeps in at home. I know that sounds crazy, but I knew I would be able to sleep. I think
so the sleeping in the car, just it kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to, think back on the beach trips we've took because we've taken one with my parents ever since I was pregnant with Lennox. So we've done it 14 years in a row. And I just remember to each one brought different challenges. And I mean, I would have a kid sleeping in, like I said, a rented crib. If you go to any of those kind of beach areas, there will be rental companies. You can rent a crib, you can rent whatever. So highly recommend that. I mean, in the laundry, or I would take a pack and play with the twins in it.
Laundry?
Like I stuck them in another room where I could get it dark. I've brought like dark sheets for the windows.
100%.
I've clipped them up and
put the pack and play in the bathroom if you need to. Yep.
I mean, it's just a hot mess. It really is. And it's kind of the first thing I get kind of figured out once I get there. I'm just like, forget all the rest. I'm like, just keep the kids alive and I'm going to figure out sleeping situations because I don't want to do it when it's 10 p.m.
So kind of what all of this leads to, and this is like kind of what Lindy said earlier, I hate to break it to like the majority of people who are sitting back who like literally have just had their one kid and they're like, oh, we're going to go to the beach. And when I was pregnant, I was imagining what our family beach trip that we go on every year is going to now look like with a kid. And this is going to be great. Guys, it's hard. It is hard because nothing feels the same. And I always thought, oh, well, there's going to be more people to help and it's going to be great. But if that baby's used to like nursing down and sleeping on you, that baby's going to want to nurse down and sleep on you, which means that your favorite, like from 2 to 3 on the beach when you're sitting there and you hang out and you read your book, it's not going to happen. And that's what it's hard. And there's beautiful other memories. And like I said, you're going to get home and you're going to look back on pictures of it and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, when do we do that again? But there are moments when you're traveling with kids and families where you're like, am I going to survive this? Like, am I going to get through? Like, what on earth was I thinking?
Yeah, we had some incredible weeks. And then we had some weeks where I literally was in tears. I was postpartum I had an infant for pretty much 8 out of 9 of those years there. Also the switch to kind of salt and on sand and all that. I could probably count at least
Diaper
5
rashes.
trips that I was hunting out a patient first because I knew it was an ear infection. So like it is hard. Are there incredible moments? 100% yes. Would I do it again? Yes. I think 99%. I would do it again. But like, I mean, we've come home from so many vacations and we have said it would have been more enjoyable to stay home. It is. But I do look back and it's so worth it. And my kids look back at the pictures and they remember
great.
that. And we often would do the same house. So they're like, I know the house. I know where my room is. Like,
the
so
pictures
that is really cool.
always look great. But with Lindy was talking about the salt water and stuff. Don't be afraid to cut out liners of bathing suits, especially for boys if you need to. As well as we always pack like good old Speedo bathing suits, like European Speedo bathing suits, because if you're going to be at the beach long enough and you have little boys and they're going to play in the sand and the salt water, it doesn't matter if they have little Speedos on, but like that may be your saving grace of packing those, because if they get chafed throughout the week, you are literally going to have a kid who's not going to want to go down to the beach, and then you have some kids who do and some kids that don't, and then who stays back with that one, and then they're crying and you're looking for Vaseline. It's just it's a lot. So
and I was just about to say that we take the little 5-pack of biker shorts, the girls ones from Walmart.
Yep.
And they just pop those right over their bathing suits, because like the thighs rub and you know, but then you try to bust out an ointment and then the sand all sticks to it. Like that is it. It just comes with chaos and some mess. But those were lifesavers. Yeah. Because some beaches are saltier than the others, and like that's what we discovered. But yeah.
And just embrace the sand. It's gonna be everywhere. You can wash your feet off before you go anywhere, but it's still gonna be everywhere. It's gonna be in the bathtub. It's gonna come home with you.
Yep.
I like to think of like Dido's song "Sand in My Shoes." Have you ever listened to that song? It's like one of my favorite Dido songs. But she talks about how she's like back in the city and she hears like the cars, and you can hear the cars on the song. But she's like, "There's still sand in my shoes," which is really sweet. So I like to think of the sand as memories of the good times at the beach, because it's everywhere.
Yep.
Anything else, Kennedy?
I had a question about traveling with littles. So my youngest is just over 18 months old, and he's an absolute escape artist. So he can already open doors and baby gates. He's been climbing out of his crib since he was 12 months old. How do I keep him safe when we're not in our own house to baby proof? Thanks.
Oh my God. All of these questions, like I feel very qualified to answer them, because they have literally been my life for the last however many years. And I remember moments of all of these where like, so this yearly trip with my in-laws has been happening for like the last 5 years. And we showed up at a house on the lake, which was great. And it was beautiful. And it was, like I said, you look back on it and it's great. But I was pregnant and I had an 18-month-old. And this house had not the round doorknobs, but the lever doorknobs. Cool. So suddenly my 18-month-old, who couldn't open doors before when we were at home, suddenly could open every single door. And this house was on the lake, on this peninsula that literally was surrounded by water on 3 sides. And I had an 18-month-old that could open every door. I don't think that I relaxed the entire time we were there.
Yeah. And I know sometimes you can't avoid those situations, but I do know that's something now we will choose. Like we kind of look at this or look at the layout or look, and we are a little bit more selective. But again, sometimes you can't. And
so my piece of advice, I have a few here. Because I mean, then, I've been to the Outer Banks house that has 4 different stories and stairs everywhere you look, and kids who haven't learned how to go, that know how to go up and down stairs, but they're going to chase their siblings and they're going to fall right down them. Pack baby gates if you need to. Instacart or DoorDash or Ship It or whatever you use baby gates. Go pick one up at Walmart. My family, and this is another kind of entitled thing, but my family swears by ISR swim lessons. They can start at 6 months. They're, I don't want to call them water safe, but normally within 2 to 3 weeks, if they fall into the water, they have learned to flip over to their back, which gives you a little bit more time. It's not a gentle process, but it can help save lives, especially if you have a kid who likes to escape and run. Do you have other things?
There are some really cool little sleeping pods that are approved, like for travel and stuff, that do zip. That could be an option as far as for a little bit more of a safer, like your comfortable sleeping situation. Yeah. I know with our twins, I'm staring at this really cool like play yard. It's and it packs up almost like it's a heavy chair. Picture like a heavy chair on your shoulder, but that is something that we could take anywhere. I could plop it up and down in the living room. I could take it to the beach. I would take this to our neighborhood pool and set it up. And so when I was helping others with snacks or something like that, I knew 100% that they were safe in there and they couldn't get out, fall down the stairs, get to the pool, whatever. So
also toddler carriers are great. So if you are going to go do something and you don't want to turn your back on your toddler, throw him on your back. He'd probably love that as well. And then it's just hard because there's not an easy answer. I mean, I guess my biggest piece of advice would be that the age is going to change, and next year it's going to be a whole different story, and it's going to be even easier, hopefully. But try and get them, especially if there's water involved, around swim lessons. Most houses that you rent, I think in all states, do have to have alarms leading out to any door that goes out to a pool. Sorry, drowning is just one of my things.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I think of. I mean, but I looked at literally we're bringing a nanny with us to South Carolina.
That was going to be the next thing I was going to say.
So we're bringing a nanny with us to South Carolina, and I was talking to her today, and I was like, the last time we went to the lake, I lost Alex, and Alex was old enough and could swim, so I wasn't terribly concerned. And he's like, but Mom, I met a really nice family. And like, I literally almost fell off the couch this morning when he said it, because I was very proud of the fact that this is not a terrible memory for him, that he actually met a really nice family who walked him over to our house. But he did the same thing. He went on a little walk. He decided he was going to go down to the other people's docks, which is absolutely terrifying as a parent to say. But he was 5 or 6, and I think if he had fallen in, he would have been okay. But and then we were at a barbecue 2 weeks ago with all of our children, and I lost the 2.5-year-old. So it's fine. She met a very nice woman as well, and she brought her back to us. And I'm not a terrible mom, but it happens. So as many eyes on your kids as you can, and some prayers, and
But I have to say, like you're talking about the nanny or help or a high schooler with a friend, just to have extra eyes. I'm thinking, looking back, the first trip that we actually took that was like a week was last year. No grandparents, nobody else. It was my husband and I and 6 kids.
Yeah, we have not done that.
Well, they were 5 and up. So we haven't even really chosen to go for like a significant vacation with a toddler, let alone an infant, where grandparents weren't there, some sort of just other adult to help. So I'm actually realizing that, we haven't done that alone.
Yeah.
It's done with help, whether it's family, maybe you go with another family, or if you're able to bring some, hired help or whatnot. So,
yeah. So I don't know. Do you have any parting thoughts on this? I feel like we don't mean to be Debbie Downers. It's just, I think, bringing the reality to the idea that it's tough. It's really tough.
I was going to throw out that I'm sure you can probably think of the things that really are your happy places and go there. Like, we're always happy. Literally, you can feel the kind of the stress come off at the beach. So if I compare, say, do we want to go to the beach for a week, or do we want to go, like, I don't know, walk around parks like Disney or something? Automatically, everybody, I know what they're, at least for our family, if we ask anybody, it is the beach. It is just more relaxing. So also thinking about, where do we want to go? What do we want to do? What is the vibe of that vacation going to feel like? Because there's already added, just stress and a little bit of worries at the beginning, regardless of where you're going. But what else could that place, what needs to be done there, add to your load? So maybe you want to start somewhere that you enjoy the place.
Yeah. And I make fun of our little condo at the beach because it's really small and it's really kind of old and dated. But what I love about it is the fact, like any other routine in our kids' lives, it has 100% been their happy place. They love it.
Yeah.
So if you can start that tradition young and find like the same house rental or the same cabin or whatever, and then literally watch your kids grow in their kind of responsibilities and what they love there and the memories that are made there, it's really, really magical. It's one of my favorite things about parenthood is like going to this little condo and, they watch the fireworks over the pier every night. Like, it's so freaking cool and it makes me so happy. But I can tell you in the beginning stages when they were super, super young and I was kind of getting my legs when it came to like travel and stuff, it was incredibly stressful. But now I can look at it and I can say, okay, well, I know that if I tip well enough, the groceries will be brought up to the top floor. And if they're not, then I'm going to take a few trips and it's going to be okay. Or the kids aren't going to fall off of the balcony because we've talked about it. Like there's certain things that, the anxiety starts to lower over time. You get better at it, but have really, really, really low expectations. Remember one year I tried to plan all of the meals for the entire week, and then we ate out 100% of the time. I don't think we ate one meal in the actual condo or we door dashed it, or we did something because I couldn't do it at the end of the day because everybody still had sand on them. Yeah. I don't know. And let go of all of that stuff you have at home, like the no screens or whatever. Just remember, it should be, as much as it can be a vacation for you, it should be a break for you too. So everybody's going to be off their routines when they come back anyways, and going to be off kilter. So you might as well just let it all go while you're there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just keep coming back to, anything that you can prep prior, get a little bit organized. Take those steps, spend that little bit of extra money if you can on those things that make your life a little bit easier. If you need a little high chair, if you need a crib, you need a gate.
Yep.
You need to get, like a little travel type play yard, do it.
Yeah. If you're a baby wearer, bring
the
than one
carriers.
Yep.
Bring the help if you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's
then
awesome.
It's
learn. It's vacation
year to year.
though. Just chill out if you can and just relax, because no matter if you plan every single minute of it, it's going to be crazy. So just try and just lower your expectations and find moments for fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks, guys.